The first explosion come like a sudden heartbeat in the distance, a loud that rallied through the night and made the windows tremble. Lida froze in the kitchen, her hands still wet from washing dishes. For a moment she thought it might be thunder, but then came another, sharper sound, closer, unmistakable. The dishes clinked together in the wreck as if they too were afraid. Somewhere outside, a car alarm started wailing, and the old cat bolted under the table. The air chunked, became heavy, thick with the metallic dust of fear. The electricity flickered on us, twice, and died. The hum of the refrigerator faded into silence, leaving only the distant echo of sirens beginning to rise across the city. Lida's breath came in short bursts as SH ran to the hallway. Danila, SH called. The boy appeared from his room, his small frame lit by the flashlight of his tablet, eyes wide and frightened. It is okay, Bobby, SH said, though her voice trembled. We have to go downstairs, now. SH grabbed the emergency bag SH had packed months ago, just in case. It had always felt like a paranoid precaution, something shut down because others were dying it. Now, as SH pulled it over her shoulder and reached for her son's hand, SH realized how naive that had been. The stairwell was already full of neighbors. Old MRS. Hrichenko was clutching her rosary, muttering prayers between sobs. A young man from the third floor carried his dog wrapped in a blanket. Someone shouted to turn off the gas. They reached the basement, which smelled of damp cement and old paint. A single candle flickered in a glass jar on the floor, casting long, shaking shadows on the walls. The rumble outside grew deeper, more continuous, a storm of metal and fire. Dust drifted down from the ceiling with every distant impact. Lida sat on a crate and pulled Danila into her arms. He buried his face against her chest, trembling. Mom, is it the end? He whispered, his voice muffled by her coat. SH didn't answer at first. SH called her people whispering around her, the words substation, missiles, infrastructure, things SH didn't want to think about. A baby cried somewhere in the dark, and someone tried to quiet it with a lullaby that cracked on every note. Lida forced herself to breathe, slow and deep, as SH stroked her son's hair. No, SH said finally, leaning close so he could hear her over the dull thunder outside. It is not the end, it is the beginning of something we must survive. The words come out before SH could think them through, but honest speaking, they felt true. Survival, that was what remained when everything else burned away. Another explosion came, so close that the walls shattered and the candle went out. For a moment there was absolute darkness. Danila cried out, and Lida held him tighter, pressing her lips to his hair. The air filled with the faint scent of dust and smoke, creeping down from above. Someone lit another candle, and faces emerged again, pale, frightened, resolute. Minute blurred into horrors. The cold crept up from the floor, and people wrapped themselves in blankets, coats, anything they could find. Somewhere above, glass shattered, followed by the distant crackle of flames. Lida imagined the streets as she walked every day, the small park, the grocery store, the tram line, all bathed in the same orange glow that flickered through the cracks of the basement door. Everything SH had known seemed to exist only in memory now. Danila fell asleep eventually, his head resting on her lap. SH could feel the faint rhythm of his heartbeat, steady against the chaos above. SH remembered his school play last spring, the way he had forgotten his lines and then lied, unbuttered. He was only 7, and yet here he was, learning fear the way children used to learn songs. When the bombing ceased, a few of the men went upstairs to look. They returned silent, their faces grey. One of them said the power station to the east had been hit, that the sky was on fire. Lida closed her eyes. SH didn't want to imagine it, but SH couldn't stop. The image was unbidden, the skyline SH loved, lit by flames instead of sunrise. Hours later, when the sounds had faded into a distant hum, Lida climbed halfway up the stairs to the ground floor. The air was sea, but sh I needed to see. Sh pushed open the door and stepped into the hallway. From the shattered windows, sh could see the horizon, glowing red, alive with moving shadows. Sparks drifted upward like lost stars, and the snow that fell through the light looked like ash. Sh stood there for a long time, not crying, not trembling anymore. The world was burning, yes. But sh was still breathing, and so was her son, and so were the people below her who whispered prayers and promises into the dark. Somewhere beyond the smoke, dawn was coming. It would not bring peace, not yet, but it would bring light, and that, for now, was enough. The morning came slowly, dragging a pale light across the wrecked horizon. Smoke still hung over the city like a low, bruised sky. The air smelled of burned plastic, wet concrete, and something sharp, the bitter tongue of metal and ash. The silence that followed the night skies felt heavier than the noise itself. There were no sirens now, no blasts, only the distant creak of broken things and the occasional crash of debris sliding from a ruined roof. Lida climbed the stairs from the basement with Danila at her side. His hand was cold but steady in hers. The door to the courtyard had been blown off its hinges. Snow lay in dirty patches, streaked with soot, and power lines dangled like torn strings over the street. Sh could see the shell of what used to be the grocery store, the one where the cashier always smiled and saved her extra bread on weekends. Its front windows were gone, and inside, everything was blackened. Danila stopped beside her, staring at the wreckage. "It is all broken," he said quietly. Sh nodded. "Yes, but we're still here." He didn't answer. His eyes followed a line of people carrying buckets from a nearby hydrant, forming a slow, somber chain to a smoking building across the street. The flames were mostly out, but steam rose where the water met the hot brick. Lida led him toward them, her boots crunching over shards of glass. No one gave orders, everyone just moved. A young woman handed out paper cups of tea brewed over a gas burner. An old man in a volunteer vest marked the names of missing residents on a torn notebook page. Somewhere, someone had dragged a speaker into the street, and faint music played, broken, static, but human. It mingled with the chorus, the shoveling, the muted voices of people rediscovering what it meant to act. Lida found herself beside her neighbor, Taras, a quiet man from the fourth floor who used to repair bicycles. He was kneeling beside a pile of rubble, prying loose a bent metal sheet. Beneath it, a flash of green fabric appeared, a jacket. For a moment, they both froze. Then Taras whispered, "Alive," and reached carefully underneath. A child's doll rolled out, its face smudged but intact. Relief passed between them like a silent breath. They worked for hours, but there was no clear goal, no one telling them when to stop. The rhythm of movement became its own comfort. The sky brightened, revealing columns of smoke that stretched miles away, each marking another wound on the city's body. When someone found bread, they shared it, when someone cried, they were surrounded without a word. By noon, the volunteers had cleared enough of the street for a small path. Lida sat on a curb, her hands shaking from exhaustion and cold. Danila sat beside her, sipping tea from a cracked mug. He looked older somehow, not in his face, but in the way he watched everything, silently taking it in. Across the street, Taras was repairing an old radio on the hood of a burned-out car. He had found it in the debris, its casing scorched but the dial is intact. Lida walked over, curious, Danila following close behind. "Do you think it'll work?" Sh asked. He smiled faintly, his eyes still fixed on the delicate wires. "It has to. Someone out there needs to know we're alive." Sh wanted to believe him. The radio looked hopeless, like everything else around them. But Taras worked with patience, connecting wires, adjusting knobs, tapping gently on the side. He muttered to himself as he worked, fragments of old habits, perhaps prayers in another language. Minutes stretched. The crowd began to gather, drawn by the small hope that maybe, a voice could break the silence. Then, a faint crackle. Everyone held their breath. Taras turned the dial again, and the static shifted, not words yet, but something alive. Then it came, a voice, thin and quivering, speaking through the noise. This is Kharkiv. We are broadcasting, please confirm. The words broke, faded, returned. But it was enough. People smiled, cried, clapped hands to mutas. Someone lied, the sound sharp and beautiful, like the first bird of spring. Lida felt her throat tighten. Danila gripped her sleeve, tears still tore, asked, yes, as she whispered, her eyes wet. And Savi, the radio hissed again, carrying fragments of other cities, other survivors, other signals rising through the smoke. Each one was a heartbeat of resistance, fragile but real. As the afternoon sun dipped behind the grey clouds, Lida looked around, at the faces streaked with soot, at the trembling hands holding towels and breathing each other. The night had burned everything they knew, but it hadn't erased them. The city, broken and blackened, was still breathing. As she closed her eyes for a moment and let the sound of the radio wash over her. It wasn't music, not yet, but it was a promise. A promise that the world still had voices, that even in ruins, people could find a way to speak, to answer, to life. When she opened her eyes, the light had changed. The smoke above the rooftops glowed softly in the setting sun, no longer orange with fire but gold, faint, tired, beautiful. And for the first time since the night began, Lida felt warmed, not from flames, but from something returning, something human, something unbroken.